Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games from the Game Pass collection and bring you three unique perspectives from varying skill range. I am the knower of this episode, Andrew. With me are Watcher Keith.
Hello.
And our principal, Aaron.
Hey.
That's
This
pretty
week
lofty.
New year, new us. So we played a game, a listener request about clones. So thank you so much, Squid Kill on our Discord, longtime listener of ours, who recommended that we check out 1000xResist, 1000xResist, 1000
I think it's
times
1000
resist.
times resist. I think
I don't know. Like
I've heard it said 1000 times resist, so I'm just going off of what other people have
1000
said.
time resist actually might make sense. But
Really?
anyways,
Keith, explain it. Why?
well, Andrew knows better. Andrew even started to agree with me, so Andrew can explain.
So Andrew, you explain it. Why did you agree with me?
I mean, getting into the story, 1000xResist is a narrative-driven, glorified kind of walking simulator where you are playing a clone of a character. There's a near future apocalyptic event that kind of has happened, and you are kind of unraveling the mystery of, who the All-Mother is, why she betrayed you, and what is going on in this really weird world. The best way I could describe this game is this is Inception, the video game.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can see that a little.
Yes, I feel like the guy who created this game really liked Inception. He's like, oh, whatever, this was a video game. But yes, thank you. I keep wanting to say Donnie Squidkill for recommending that we play this game. He doesn't recommend too many video games, but he was like, nope, this game. You guys need to check this out. And okay, so starting off to me, whether or not this is a game or a pass, because to me this is a good segue. I gotta say, I'm really glad we do this podcast. Because if this was not a recommendation and I was not playing this game for the podcast, I don't know if I would have stuck with it. This game is a very slow burn. It took me a while, but after probably about 2-3 hour mark, it was, I would say, at the end of the third chapter. There's 10 chapters. And by the end of the third one, I was like, okay, I'm like, where this is interesting. But yeah, starting off, I was like, what is going on? This is weird. The conversations are weird. It seemed like whenever characters were talking, it sounded like literally two people having two different conversations. And I'm like, what is going on here? But yeah, luckily I stuck with it. Rolled credits. And yeah, this is a very good story. So if you are looking, overall, I do give this a game. I wouldn't recommend this for everyone. You have to really like stories. This is because game's kind of light on gameplay. And the story is pretty confusing, but man, it's a cool story. I like this game.
Well, you just said something interesting. I thought I beat this game. I don't think I beat this game. I think I beat 5 chapters.
Wait,
But
so you're like, I beat this game, and then you're like, wait.
well, it got to a scene where it felt like there was an ending. And it also kicked me back to the main screen. It was like, "Hey, continue."
No, yeah, you did not. You did not beat the game. You are halfway.
Well, I mean, again, I beat 5 chapters. I know that for a fact. I know that I did not beat 10 chapters. So, is that intentional?
Yes.
So there's a break in the game where it kind of leads you to believe that the game is over, but it's not.
No.
Is what you're telling.
Wait, did you not hit continue?
Hold on. How did you know to do that then, Andrew?
Because I did hit continue, but it didn't.
No, but how did Andrew know that?
Because I mean, I've played a ton of video games. Case in point, Keith, a game we recently played. Because this is literally what I thought of. Do you not remember the game? Oh my gosh, now I'm drawing a blank on it. It was a horror game, kind of like old school Resident Evil. Oh my gosh.
Andrew never forgets a game.
I know.
This
and
is a huge issue.
I keep wanting to say Solaris. That's
You think
not
it's-
right though,
No, that is not
because
right.
that is a Dungeons and Dragons RPG.
Yeah.
So-
Jeez.
Okay,
This
no,
is embarrassing.
So I'm if you can find the game, then
but
I
either
will
way.
believe you. But I just
Did you
can't
not?
think of a logic-
Obviously, because it's very suspicious. Because the game starts over and everything's like bloody, and it's like, okay, like, and even how the story ended, I'm like, that's not the end. Like, that just ended so abruptly.
Honestly, I just thought that
Signalis. There we go. Do not remember Signalis.
I don't.
That's a horrible name for a video game, by the way.
But it's not often that a game narratively kicks you back to the home screen and you're just expected to keep playing knowing that it is. When it gives you a fairly not wrapped up ending, but what it did is it left a lot of like dialogue blank and things, and I had skipped a whole bunch of side quests at this point. I was just kind of powering through the main missions, and I was like, oh,
it's not really side quests.
There's side conversations.
There's optional things you can do around. I assumed not having done that was like, oh, I didn't have all of it. I probably need to go back, do the chapter slide, go complete those, then I can get this full dialogue. That was the way that I interpreted the ending that I thought that I had. That was clearly not an ending. Hand up, that's on me. This is my blueprints moment. But you know what? I think it's pretty understandable to say that a game just randomly has never at any point in the game through the 5 to 6 hours I played of it, whatever it was, kicked me back to the home menu after a seemingly ending scene.
Okay, hold on. I want to pause you for a second. So Keith, we played a very story-heavy game, and Keith got halfway through the story and went, all right, that's the end. So Keith, tell us, was this a game just knowing half the story?
I mean, so you say half the story, and that half of the story, it is not a good ending, and I'm not gonna.
Yes, because it's not the ending.
But it fully could. You're laughing, but at the same time, it could have wrapped up the story there. Like it truthfully could have, and so it's not that far fetched to say, hey, you thought that was it, and maybe I just missed the ending, because there was a lot of points in that game that the writing is a little bit, I don't know, confusing. In this game. No, not even confusing. I just not great at points, and part of it I think is the intentional, but part of it is I just think it's bad dialogue at points. But my biggest point is that I thought it was fine. I thought there was a level of interest to it. It's very like allegory, honestly. It felt like it was like trying to do this like a whole like God and creation thing, and I don't know. But yeah, it wasn't terrible. I could definitely see there being more, and that being a benefit to where I got to. It was also late, so I wasn't going to be playing much further anyways. So, I mean, truthfully told, I wasn't going to be it.
So much of this is him just defending the fact that...
No, I just... it was like 2 in the morning.
To be fair, I do not blame you in this scenario. And it's not because you used the blueprints. We're not using it as a thing, okay?
It's 2026. We're leaving blueprints in 2025.
And I've proved my point that I was in the right. You're all in the wrong. So we're not going to bring that up again. Keith, did you have any other points there? I didn't,
No, you go ahead.
So full disclosure, I did not finish this game. Just been insanely busy. So you're going to be hearing this from a man who is, I don't know, maybe a third, maybe slightly beyond that at this point. I want to kind of go where Andrew just was at. Andrew just said, like, if we were not on this podcast, I don't know if I would have stuck with this game. I'll even go a step further. If we weren't on this podcast, I would have never opened this game. And if not for this podcast, I would have turned this game off within the first 10 minutes. I don't think this game introduces itself very well. Like Andrew said, very confusing, just very confusing. Kind of a mess initially when you're kind of introduced to it. However, I am hooked on this thing right now. This is kind of up my alley right now.
I had a feeling you would really like this game.
This is, and it's now becoming this weird habit for me. The guy that plays Battlefield 6 probably 90% of the time gets really invested in these weird narrative-driven games. And this one's got its hooks in me. I don't know. I'm not on your guys' side here. I think the dialogue is pretty darn good, actually.
I agree. I think the dialogue is good. I'm not with Keith. I'm just saying at the beginning, because there's just so much going on, and I'm like, what is this?
It's confusing.
Yes.
Because you kind of have to get used to, they obviously have their own jargon that is built in, so you kind of have to get used to that, because sometimes it's like popping up, and you're like, why do they keep saying hecky?
Yep.
I hate this.
Hecky Almo, Hecky Grace, red to blue.
Yes, like
Yeah.
so. There's things like that you're just kind of like. So I get that when you're kind of being introduced to it. And to answer your question that just came up in the chat, I am not much of an anime fan. I'm indifferent to anime. Andrew's way more into anime than I am.
As I have a One Piece flag behind me.
But I totally understand why I would think that maybe that was kind of my hesitation on even clicking on this thing. Because if you look at the art, my first thing was like the Zenless Zone Zero kind of stuff, the gacha games that are kind of going big right now. I kind of felt like that's what this is. I'm hooked though. I'm hooked. Like I cannot wait to actually finish this game because this is right up my alley. I would have never guessed that. Never in a million years would I have guessed that I would be enjoying this as much as I am.
Well, and truthfully, I don't know if Andrew, did you even give this a game or a pass? Because I don't know if because I don't know if I did, and I think I would. I think I kind of. I'm still undecided a little bit, and not because of my half-beaten game, partly because I thought I did get to the ending and I just thought I didn't see all of them. I actually watched like an hour video today of someone doing all the endings. I still think it didn't kill any of what I missed. It won't spoil anything.
Wait, hold on. Wait, did you saw the endings? You said.
I did watch a video of basically all the endings because I thought I was
and you
at
went,
the
this
ending.
doesn't like a thing like my game.
Again, thought that somehow my choices led it differently. I truly thought that there was, I don't know, the way that it panned out, that it was a little bit more choice driven. I do like the fact that you put it a little bit as a walking simulator, because I think when I frame it as a walking simulator, I can appreciate it a little more. And I don't want to dive into gameplay too far because I think it was the gameplay aspects at moments that I was really getting annoyed with, when I really wanted more of the story and some of the other aspects of the game, but the gameplay itself was kind of in its overall. So I'm a little bit torn. I think I'm in a low-lying game.
Okay. So anyway, so getting into the story of this game, I'm going to try really hard not to say too much. I don't want to spoil things.
Andrew sucks at this, though.
Oh, please. I feel like you're the one who actually spoils a lot.
He is going to spoil a lot.
Oh, wait. Oh, no. Wasn't it Keith, like, a couple weeks ago when he was like, I don't want to say something, and then straight up said the ending?
Or, like, when Andrew was like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm the guy who will kill a dog. You know. Remember when you did that one?
That didn't, like, what did that do for the story?
Literally an important plot point in the middle.
How is that an important plot point? Whatever. Anyway. All right. So here is the description. I'm going to at least read that. 1000xResist is a thrilling sci-fi adventure. The year is unknown. A disease is spread by an alien invasion, keeps you underground. You are a watcher. You dutifully fulfill your purpose in serving the All-Mother until the day you discover a shocking secret that changes everything. So right at the beginning, so I can understand, Keith, where you thought maybe that was the end of the game. Because right at the beginning of the game, this isn't a spoiler because it's right at the beginning, and it's in the trailer. The game starts off with your character assassinating the All-Mother. And it's like, oh, this chapter redacted, and it doesn't tell you what it is. Which, right at the beginning, this is also why I first didn't like this game. I generally do not like that story element that when movies or anything does that, where they're like, oh, it's the end, but how did we get here? To me, I don't know, it's just, I prefer to have the shock. But anyway, so the game does that, and I'm like, okay, so now we're going in the past. How did we get here? But no, that isn't the ending. And so, as I said, this is the future. You are clones of the All-Mother, who is seen as this revered god. You're all clones of her, but you're all different parts of clones of her. So everyone has a specific role. There's 5 different roles. You are playing a character known as the Watcher. You're a character who can kind of go see people's memories and see and watch basically how things unfold. There's the Knower. She's essentially the librarian. She knows things, hence her name. You have the worst name, Bang Bang Fire. She's the Defender. I don't know why they just didn't call her Defender. And so they gave her kind of a wacky name, and they don't really explain it. It's just Bang Bang Fire. You have Healer, who of course is the healer. And then you have the Fixer, who of course fixes things. And then you have the Principal, who watches over everyone. But everyone has these specific roles, and so they all have kind of specific memories of the All-Mother. So you as the Watcher is kind of piecing things together, what happened in the past and what is going on. But to also, here is a pro tip, because part of why I thought a lot of this dialogue was confusing. Video games have trained me. If you ever played an RPG and you walk into a town and there's a bunch of citizens everywhere, and you go to a citizen, you instantly know you are not worth my time, because they always have a generic name like Stinky Kid or Sweaty Salesman, and you're like, okay, you're clearly not part of the story. They just give you a weird dialogue of like, oh, this town's busy today. And this game is full of those characters because everyone is a clone. So you literally have like dutiful Shell, germophobic Shell, inquisitive Shell. So at the beginning, I was like, what was it? I think you, Aaron, or one of you said like felt like you were missing side quests. Because yeah, I stopped talking to people because I'm like, oh, you're clearly not part of the story. The developers didn't give you a name, like whatever. So my pro tip is no, those are actually real characters. Talk to those people because they're real characters. They just didn't give them names. Because that was my issue the first 2 chapters. I wasn't talking to everyone. And then like things were happening and I'm like, oh, okay. Oh no, this kind of makes a little more sense. But yeah, that's about it. I don't know. What do you guys think of the story? I'll stop talking now.
The Bang Bang Fire thing, and I think part of the dialogue issue and what I was saying, I think is intentional, is it all sounds like it's written by a teenage girl a little bit, not to be stereotypical and offensive to teenage girls, but you know, I'm offended. You should be. I know you are one still. So, but like the whole like how just they keep referring to everything like it's like, oh, that's, you don't want to be basic. You don't, and like, unless that's an acronym that gets explained later that I don't know. But I mean,
it makes sense because you're all clones of a teenage girl.
That's where I'm saying there's the intentionalness to it. Is I think that it's supposed to be a little bit like weird in that aspect, that it's all very serious and very like adult, but they're also still talking like they're teenagers and, you know, haven't, you know, changed their slang, I guess, if that makes sense. So there's aspects of it that make sense in that for the dialogue, and also the Bang Bang Fire. Like, I don't know, they just couldn't come up with a name, so it was just fun to say Bang Bang Fire. I don't know. That was my thought on
that. So this is another one of those games where story is everything. I was a little, when I say I was kind of out on this thing to start with, it was the feeling of like, ugh, this is just really over the top artsy. And because it's like that in movies. Like, sometimes I watch something, I don't mind an artistic film. I don't. But it has to move with intention. If you're just artistic, just to be artistic, I typically am kind of out. And I was afraid that this is what the game was going to become. And again, it didn't take long for me to kind of realize a little bit of what was going on. It takes you a minute. You're going to have to piece some things together. But as you do, I mean, again, it had its hooks in me. I was glad, Andrew, that you pointed out those generic NPCs, because I thought you were going the opposite direction. I thought you were going to say, don't even talk to those people. It's wasting your time. Where I was like, no, I was like listening to a ton of them because there were so many interesting little tidbits that you were learning that if you didn't do that, you're missing out on kind of a grander picture of what was happening. So I know Keith was talking about kind of speeding his way through it. You can 100% do that. That's just not the point of the game. The point of the game is to kind of get lost in it. Yeah. To the point of the main hub you're in is both the coolest and most obnoxious place I've ever been in.
Oh, I hated it. I thought the design of it is so confusing.
But I think that was done on purpose.
Yeah.
So I think it wanted to force you to get lost, to run into people as you're going along. In fact, a lot of the achievements, I know we'll talk about achievements later, there's a lot of achievements that are just like, oh, you went to this place in the main hub.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things were hidden. And I don't, this game kind of fascinates me. Like, at one point I'm in that central hub. Do you ever just go crawling around the lower level? Like the subterranean level?
Like the stations?
The subway?
Yeah, but it's not just subway. It's like these long hallways to weird sculptures.
Yeah.
And it's a maze in itself. And I'm like, why was this all created the way that it was? I don't know if that shows up in the story. I don't know yet. Don't spoil it for me, Andrew. Don't do it. But I'm just fascinated by it. I was actually kind of fascinated in running around because the whole thing, the whole central hub is just a giant labyrinth. And yes, it's frustrating. That's why I say it is frustrating, because when you're trying to actually find the person you're trying to get to, that does kind of suck. Because there is no map. There's like a
No, there is a map.
thing. There's a compass.
No, there's a map. If you press X or Y, but the map sucks. It's a kid drawing, which I don't get.
Well,
It's
again,
literally
it goes
like
back to,
crayon
like,
drawing, and I'm like,
her art skills never progressed past that for whatever reason, because like we don't.
she's in high school.
I'm 39 years old, and that's what my art
that's
skills
probably
look like.
That's probably what mine would look like too.
I think that was
got
about
it for
age, but hers clearly just never progressed past that. Now I feel like it, for the potential time that I won't say specifically, but they've referenced that she's been around. You would think they would have gotten better by now, but that's a whole different story. Maybe she just didn't care about art, I guess.
Well, I mean, I thought it was in direct reference. I don't want to dive too much into the story, but she does draw pictures as a child.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's just what it's connecting. It's connecting those two pieces. That's how I read it. It's
I mean, I'm going to already say, I don't think you two could really spoil much. Because, like, literally,
I mean, up to the
We're
point I
keeping
get to
the-
is really the beginning of the game.
the
one
game
thing
does flip.
What I am curious about with that part that I got to then, which is again essentially the beginning of the game, I got back to where it leads up to that. There's a bunch of text that just reads as redacted. Is that always the case, or is that actually related to the fact that I skipped a lot of dialogue and didn't get a lot of information from talking to people?
That was the case. It's part of the story.
That's always going to be like a bunch just redacted of what she says to me.
Yep.
Okay, that's fair. But see, in all fairness, again, and I'm not trying to get like too defensive of my point, I actually kind of liked the idea of that a little bit, where the game is condensed to a short 5 acts that you repeat and play differently and get a different outcome. So I was kind of into that idea, and that's kind of why I also was on board with it. Again, not trying to defend too much, but that was another reason I thought that. I think I can see the benefit in it having a more complete story, though. Again,
I mean, in your case, all right, so this is a bit of like, you're walking around talking to people, and you are given dialogue choices. But this is a thing I kind of got disappointed in. It's one of those fake dialogue choices. There is reactive to your answers. So, like, some people will ask you, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And, like, if you give an answer, sometimes, like, oh, I don't think that's right. Like, they'll actually kind of have a conversation and talk to you. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really change anything, as far as I saw. Because as how the ending goes, it's not really spoiling, but you know when you're at the end. Because it gives you a whole thing, and it's like, now you make decisions. Okay. And so you can kind of go through, and that's how you can kind of do multiple endings, which I'm glad, because I was kind of nervous of, like, as I'm playing through these chapters, I'm like, man, am I going to have to play this game again? Because to get to it, time to beat, you're looking at about 11 hours. This is a pretty hefty story game. So I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to have to, like, go back because I told the person the wrong thing, and I shouldn't have done it that way?
I should have said Hecky Grace instead of red to blue.
Yeah. Or square, or circle to square.
Well, that's so. I'm glad that you're mentioning that, because I don't think it's great with this game, but at the same time, it's not really necessarily the main point. But every dialogue choice that I've had so far has felt pointless.
Yeah.
Not only do I feel like it's not changing the world, but 8 out of 10 times, your response is like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
As we're just kind of mentioning here, like literally sometimes your response is, what was it, hair to hair,
Yep.
circle to square, and Hecky Grace. And it's like, those are your 3 choices. And you're like, what am I don't know.
Yeah.
And so you're just kind of clicking something like, I don't even know what that means. And a lot of, like I said, 8 out of 10 of them are like responses like that. So I was kind of like, well, then why even give me the choice? Like, just give me the story, because this is pointless.
There is a random character that explains those phrases. You got that right?
Well, yes. So at some point, like I learned like Heki is like hello goodbye.
I kind of assumed.
Almo
just
is short for all mother.
Yep.
So Heki Almo is just again kind of like a phrase. So you do learn some of those phrasings, but that's not my point. Is at the very beginning of the game, it's presenting you with those as options, and you're like, I don't know. And yeah, that's where I was kind of like, well, then just remove this option. Like, I don't understand what the point of giving me this option if this option doesn't mean anything. So I was kind of wondering when you said there were multiple endings. I'm like, how do you even get there? So eventually you do get to make meaningful decisions at some point.
Yeah, well, and the other half of the time when there is like some sort of meaningful dialogue, it does another one of those things where it'll give you one word and then your character has a whole sentence that word just falls somewhere in the middle of. You're like, well, how was I supposed to know that was the response they were going to give? So I'm glad so I'm assuming then you can basically just kind of get to the end and then just chapter select your way into doing all of the different endings for the most part.
No, you don't have to go that much. The ending literally, I mean, it's not really, I guess, a spoiler. You're literally essentially given like a big tablet of like, what do you want to do? How do you want the ending to play out? And you can kind of select things.
Yeah. So like, and I know that from having watched it.
So why'd you ask? You do.
Well, I was just curious if is the way you get back to it, because I wasn't paying close attention. I was kind of like half listening to the dialogue while I was working, and I was just curious if like you just chapter select your way back to that area to make those selections again in the likes.
So Keith, when you were watching the endings, were you also like, who the heck are these people? What is going on here?
Again,
because you don't know half the cast.
I think because I wasn't actually watching the video like directly, as you said, I had my AirPods in and I was working and I was just kind of listening to the dialogue and I just kind of like look over here and there on my phone. So it wasn't like I was trying to just get an overall vibe for what it was. If I had paid close attention, yes, I absolutely would have recognized. I'm sure there were people I did not know. But yeah, I was just curious how that played out, which I think is a benefit to it because we've talked about that in other games that have multiple endings. Was the camp one? I can't think of it.
I always forget the quarry.
The
quarry. Like that's a game I wanted to play all the endings to, and like play different scenarios. But knowing that I basically had to redo 9 hours every time for I don't know 4 or 5 different times, like that's daunting. Whereas being able to see all the different endings just kind of as a quick hit like that, I like that capability.
So I don't want to get too into it, Andrew. So obviously, no details because if you're spoiling it for me because I want to finish this game. But do you feel satisfied by the endings? Do you feel like the endings were all worth it?
Yeah, and there's still some things that kind of make me go like, oh, what happened here? I did see like a YouTube video of like explaining the entire lore, and it's an hour long. But I'm like, I want to watch that because, I mean, there is a lot to this game. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, time to beat of this game is 11 hours. And like, when I was playing this, I was thinking about that. I'm like, how could you cut some of this stuff? And like thinking about it, I'm like, no, like this is a slow burn game, but it's building. It is building these characters. It's building these relationships.
That's what's crazy to me. It had me hooked right away. Once you were doing kind of your first communion, and I was kind of like getting a glimpse into things, I was like, ooh, I'm in.
Yeah, which is what I think the second chapter, isn't it?
That's the one where
no,
you're
your
going
first
around to
communion is
school.
literally the first chapter.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really how it opens the game.
Yeah, and so I guess what's interesting to me though about that lore point is and I do appreciate this. There are no collectibles in this game.
Yep.
So when you say it's a walking simulator, it's pretty much a walking simulator.
Yeah.
So there's no collectibles, and there's really not a lot of artifacts to read either. So how can you build that much lore?
Because there's a lot of characters to talk to.
There are a lot of characters, but they're saying some interesting things, but a lot of that stuff is pretty central to what you're seeing.
Yes, but no, like I said, it's building these characters. You may think these other shells are unimportant.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, they have generic names. But no, You get farther in the game, and they're like, "Yeah, I did this thing," and I'm like, "Oh wait, I actually remember that character." Like I thought it was a nonsensical thing that they were doing, and then it's like, "Okay, no, this makes sense."
Well,
Yeah.
And it
one of
just
them becomes a sister, and they've referenced the fact that her, and that's even I guess fairly early on before the halfway point of the game that happens. So like, yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's easily implied. I don't mean that to be like, well, obviously, Andrew, you should know that. But like, yeah, like, I think they tell. I guess I'm just saying they kind of do imply it a little bit early on. It's just subtle.
a little bit. I don't know, because like, all right, and like a lot of times too. I think the thing that will also was turning me off in this game. So I like sci-fi. This is obviously a very heavy sci-fi game. But usually when it goes to sci-fi, as soon as you start dipping into like clones, it's kind of like, okay. But then this game also dips into time travel, and like usually when you're dealing with these things in like sci-fi, it just gets so convoluted and just watered down and like really confusing. Like there tends to be a ton of plot holes. So when this game is doing that, I'm like, is this just going to be really just confusing for the sake of confusing? Because even too, case in point, when you guys were talking about that chapter when you're in the school, you're kind of jumping into these two time periods. There's like this massive giant pigeon that's like talking to you, and it's like, what is this? Like, what is going on here? Like that was the other thing that was
I
turning
thought
me
the
off.
game was going a complete different angle. Like
Yeah.
at that point in the game, like even just the gameplay aspect, honestly, which like I thought it was going to heavily rely on that time shift, and it comes up
did
again.
too.
It is an absolute function that it gets used across the game again. But I was like, oh, that's the hook of this game. I'm gonna be like jumping around time, and it's gonna be puzzles, and it's not. It really is such more of a walking simulator, but the communions I think are my favorite part because each of them were so unique in their own way that I thought they were just so interesting.
I mean, and the other thing too, I don't know if you guys, well, you at least saw a little bit with the school. Right at the beginning, what I did like about this game, so obviously you have, like I said, you're all clones of this All Mother, and like right off the rip, she's an awful person, and they do not hide it. They're like, this is a very unlikable character, and like it's just kind of funny. Like when your characters are seeing it, they're like, man, she kind of sucks. Like she's not nice.
And none of them actually like her either.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's kind of interesting to me about that, and again, I don't know if it necessarily comes up in the story, but you as the watcher, so that's the character you're playing as. I don't know if we really like, reference that, but she kind of has a similar kind of like crappy attitude.
Yeah.
Like there are ways that she talks to people that is very like blunt and kind of rude, and it reminded me of the All Mother. And I just wondered, obviously because they're clones, the others don't seem to necessarily be that way. Well, the healer's kind of a jerk.
Oh,
Well,
the healer's
so-
probably my favorite. She's actually psychotic.
Yeah.
She is. This is where I go back to. There's almost this weird religion allegory throughout the whole thing, where it's like you're all created equal, but there is this clear. At least the All Mother seems to imply that you're the favorite, and you sort of act like that, and they all band against you. Like I don't know which story it goes to, but you know, like I'm like it's just some weird combination of like every Bible story I feel like I've ever been told in my life. It's some bits and pieces of all of them,
Yeah.
It is fully explained though.
and that's
which is
I'm not
cool.
saying it's like a plot hole. I'm just saying that like that's the vibe I was getting.
See, that just intrigues me all the more, Andrew.
It kind of makes me sad. I know. I kind of want to talk about it. Like,
I know. Just give me like a few more days, and I'm gonna get there. But and this is again to me why I like this writing so much. Why this writing actually works for me so much. None of the characters when you're dialoguing, their mouths don't move and their bodies
Yep.
don't move. So
Yeah.
when you're dialoguing, they're literally just standing there. So everything has to be perfect on how that dialogue is being presented. It has to because it's the only way you can do it. And I know we just talked about how you kind of learned that this godlike character kind of sucks as a teenager. But it's more complicated than that because in that first chapter, you actually see her doing something really nice for another character. Again, don't want to spoil anything, but there's another character that's kind of like a central part of this. And you actually do something nice for that character because that character is upset. And I like that there's kind of these complicated levels to people. Like, yeah, she kind of sucks, but also, you know, there are moments where these things kind of gleam through. And you even see that again in the second chapter where you see her kind of interacting then with her parents. And it's just more complicated. It's not just like, this is a snotty teenager, so she just does snotty teenager things. There are like these certain types of layers that are happening there. I like that a lot. That is really good writing, in my opinion. Why do you have a smirk on your face, Andrew?
I mean, well, she's more than just not a teenager. Like, I guess, I don't know, it's not really much of a spoiler, but there's a moment where I was like, right, did I just read that right? Like, did this just happen?
I thought she was a lot younger, assuming you're talking about the moment I'm thinking of. I thought it was implied she
About her
was
pet?
Yeah, I thought it was implied she was, not that it doesn't.
At that moment, she was younger. I think she was 8 at that time, but still, like.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying like, oh, it's totally fine because she was a young kid. I
never wanted to do that when I was 8.
I think it just, I don't know. I think it would have been a little more twisted if she was like a teenager when she was doing that. But I definitely, yeah, I don't know. I thought the character was interesting, and again, I just thought things were going a completely different direction, and so I suppose I will go back and finish it because I did overall like the story. It was the dialogue at points I didn't like, but one thing that is noteworthy, and maybe both of you figured this out, but you can actually set the dialogue to just be auto, so you don't have to like hit A.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
I really wish I
and
knew that.
And so it's in the settings. Just go look it up. I don't remember where exactly, but it's in there, and it makes the dialogue flow because they actually do a really good job of, to Aaron's point, like cutting it well, so that if you sit and listen to it, it feels like a well
Like a
played out
natural
dialogue.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Do we want to go to gameplay now?
I mean,
Like, I mean, for 37 minutes in, I think we.
I don't know if there's much to say. You walk around.
There's a lot to say about the story, but
The
it's
one
like
thing
obviously.
The one thing I'll say about the gameplay, I just wish there was a whole lot less of those little like jump scenes where you have to hold left trigger. Mostly just because I thought they were boring, and I get that it's kind of a walking simulator, so everything's a little bit boring in terms of the gameplay. But I'd rather
That is
just
literally the only actual gameplay. Is that.
I'd rather just be walking though, because outside of some kind of cool visual elements that it adds to it, it's really just a way for me to get to more dialogue, which I'm fine with walking
It
through.
kind of wants to be a puzzle. Like there are certain things where you kind of have to like fall a little bit to be able to jump to something, but it's not much.
And that's I think my point of why I'm like, I've gone this far just not really having to like think about what I have to do or failing potentially, and not that you fail, it just puts you back on the last platform or whatever. It's just to all of a sudden have to think about that, I'm like, it's kind of annoying, I guess.
Yeah.
And to do it as frequently as it is, but otherwise, I mean, it's a walking simulator. One question I had, and I don't know if either of you picked up on this, it felt like in some of the communion scenes there's interactables and you only get like a certain number that you get before it skips through, that it's not necessarily a certain one that triggers the jump, but it's like you can pick up 4 things, and then it's going to jump through.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think it was just a matter of what, like, the number you picked.
Yeah.
Because there was at least once or twice that I wanted to talk to somebody who was in the room, and I was like, I didn't do that, but I left them because I thought they'd be the last person, and they weren't. And I don't know. Not minor gripe, maybe, I guess.
Yeah. By the way, before I forget about it, I also wanted to shout out like a specific character in this game that I also really liked. Super underrated. The secretary.
Yep.
Whoever is the kid doing that voice
Yeah.
is really good.
Well, and it sets something so different because it's the only voice that's really different aside from the mom and the dad, or like the few characters in those communions. It's like everything is kind of the same female voice. It feels like in that one just really stands out. And it's well done, to your point.
Yeah, it's this really soft-spoken, gentle child voice. but it is super spot on for anyone. The secretary is kind of like a ghost from Destiny. So it's a little flying robot that kind of just helps you along with things. But there's even like that point pretty early on where he can tell that your character should be upset and how it's trying to like logically work with you before you go on and progress and stuff. And I was like, man, that is well thought out dialogue. And there's something about that kind of calming presence and voice that I was like,
not
man,
just
that's
that.
spot on.
There's a couple times your character gets rude and like snaps at the secretary, and like his like, oh no, I'm sorry.
Yes,
like, the way
he'll
he
kind of,
talks
like,
to you,
apologize.
it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, this is an interesting dialogue. Like,
because it doesn't
very
feel
much seems like he's afraid of you, and
it doesn't feel robotic either. It doesn't
No.
feel like when like Siri's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." It feels like a genuine person responding.
And that's why
to
I
your
go
character.
back to like calling it a ghost from Destiny, because that one sounds like a robot. And
Say
it's
Navi
always
from
especially
Yeah.
the original, which was Peter Dinklage.
yeah. So you kind of expect it to sound like that. Instead, it sounds like this like small child who really is just trying to help you. And even when you're getting snappy and rude, like it's apologetic about it and just wants to help. And so standout. I wanted to call that out because that was again just kind of a pleasant surprise.
What's
in hearing
interesting about it too, in the fact that it's a child's voice, it's not speaking to you like a child.
No.
Like it's using
Oh,
adult
it has knowledge. Yeah, it
vocabulary.
knows
It's
everything, yeah.
knowledgeable, and so it's not speaking to you like a child, but it just has a child's voice, and I think that's also what just really sets this weird like split or dichotomy, whatever you want to say for it. But I agree. I did really appreciate that, and overall, like there was a good chunk of it I was just playing without headphones, and I finally put them on, and I realized, don't play this game without headphones.
No.
This game, top to bottom, is such a headphone game. The music is so good.
I know we're
in
just
this.
gonna blast right through gameplay here.
I mean, did you
have
I miss-
anything to add to gameplay? Henry?
Did we miss anything?
I'm trying to think of like, well, now that you've mentioned like sound, I'm like, I don't remember too much music.
Are
Actually,
you kidding?
Really?
we'll actually get to it. No, because I do remember there was one song area, and I was like, this song is really annoying. I do not like this song. But now that I think about it, no, I actually do. We'll get into the audio, but yeah, the gameplay though. As we said, this is a majority of the time a walking simulator. You're able to sprint, but a lot of times you are spending in what's known as the orchard. It's kind of the main hub where everyone is kind of doing their tasks, and you're going around exploring it. Which, as I said, I thought the design of it is just bonkers. A lot there's stairs and alleyways that I'm like, what is this? Why is this here? But overall, even by the end of this game, I'm usually good at navigation. Even by the end of this game, I'm like, how the heck do I get to that person?
Yeah.
But you're doing a lot of exploring that. As Aaron said, you got these things called communions where you're kind of exploring people's memories. And that's where you're starting to play with a little bit of time shift elements, which you use, the bumpers, go forward or past. And it just essentially just shifts the scene a little bit while your character kind of stands still. So, as Keith said, oh, this is going to be kind of fun puzzle solving stuff. Nah, not really. There's a little bit, but not much. The other gameplay element you'll deal with is teleporting through these hoops, which literally is hold left trigger, your character stands still, and you kind of zoom right through the sky into that hoop. That's it. Pretty basic. So not a ton for depth of gameplay, but and that's the other thing I was thinking too of, does the walking simulator aspect of this game hurt it? Because that was annoying me. Walking around that orchard, I'm like, I want to know this story, but I'm like, I gotta find this person because I want to know what they're doing, but I gotta find them, and like it was annoying me at first. But I do agree with you, Aaron. It did feel like that was the design of the game, is they want you to get lost and kind of explore and learn of this world. So I wouldn't say no. I do enjoy actually the walking aspect.
You know what this reminded me of? Now that I'm thinking about it, have either of you watched Severance?
No, I know the rough idea of it.
Okay. So this world, for anyone that is listening and has watched Severance, is like walking through Severance, where you're kind of walking down corridors that all kind of look the same, and then all of a sudden you're looking at instead of a goat room, you're walking into a room with a giant horse sculpture for some reason. And It's just like there's the pillar room. Apparently, that was like an achievement, walking into the pillar room.
Yep, it's a prayer room.
I couldn't tell you how I got there.
Yeah.
Like Andrew said,
You found it though.
you're just kind of walking around, and all of a sudden, like, oh, hey, I'm in this room, and there's some people in here, and I got an achievement. And then you walk out of it, and I've never found it again. I literally have no clue how I got there. I might.
Oh no, I stumbled on it a couple more times.
Yeah. So, but it reminds me of Severance, where Severance is like an office building that just goes on for eternity, and it's just kind of endless corridors of kind of randomness. That's what this felt like in a lot of ways.
One of them I found it was marked on the map as scary, and I was like, well, I want to check out what that is, and it was an achievement. It was some grass, I think.
Scary.
If you look, we were talking about it. If you hit X, that's when you bring up the map.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and one of the floors, there's a section off the main circles that just says scary. Because one thing that was weird about the design, I don't know if it was just me, at least the healer one in particular, the amount of times I would run past it, like knowing it was there, and then I'm like, wait, where? And it's like it just blends so smoothly as you're running past in this just circular. And I think that's to your point, Aaron, of like everything just feels the same. Then all of a sudden you're like, wait, there was something different there, and you have to like stop and do a double take to actually notice it because it's just so seamless.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I hated it. I was frustrated by it. I didn't know the map was there because I don't remember them telling me about the map. I remember them saying press left bumper for the compass.
Yep.
And
Behind
that's
the
what I
waypoints.
was. Yeah, that's what I was using. I didn't know there was.
I think it was right around the same time, or maybe before.
Yeah.
I do remember him saying like to press X, and it would tell me
Interesting.
something.
I'm telling you, that map was worthless though. I pulled it up like twice, and like it was like it showed a corridor, and I'm like, "There's nothing here. There's no corridor. What is this map showing me?" I literally never used that map again.
I think I used it a handful of times. I don't think it was that bad.
All right, we ready for audio? Go to audio.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's roast
I guess we
Andrew
can talk
for
about this music.
Because I want to blast you.
This is gonna be South of Midnight 2.0.
No. Like, okay, no. So overall, I love this voice acting, as Aaron kind of said, because this is once again a thing that I was going to be like, this is going to be kind of annoying. Of you are all characters of a clone of a character, so you all kind of look alike, but everyone actually has color themes. A lot of people, everyone's wearing masks, so that's the first thing I was nervous about. I'm like, I'm going to get confused at who all these people are because we're all the same person. But no, like this game actually does a very good job of showing you different people. And I thought it was going to be the same with the voice acting. Is everyone just going to sound, is it just one voice actress doing all of this? No, everyone actually sounds pretty different. But I like the voice acting in this game. It definitely, because as Aaron said, there's no mouse moving, not a lot of character movement. So literally all the emotion you're hearing is in the voice actors. And they do a great job of conveying of what is going on. And so as for the music goes, yes, I do. Now you guys do mention it. I do remember a handful of songs, and I do like this theme. There was just one that had a very annoying sound. I think it was when you're in the school. It was around that time because I was like, my God, if this music's gonna be like this, I'm gonna be out. I'm not gonna like this music. But no, I do remember it did pick up and it did get much better.
I like the music, I think, every time. I don't think there was a single time where I was like, oh, this is annoying. I thought it was cool. And it does change. So I noticed that after you complete a communion and you're back in the orchard, that music does seem to change between communions, which is kind of cool. So it never felt stale or stagnant. Even though that song is repeating the whole time you're there, it does at least help that stuff is constantly changing throughout it. I don't know. I thought the soundtrack was great. I just looked on Spotify because I know Andrew tends to do that.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah. It does look like it exists, but it's all grayed out.
I did find at least one track accidentally on YouTube, so I don't know if it's all on there. It was the Jiao theme.
Yeah.
The one that was on there. But you can find it.
Yeah, because this is typically where Andrew kind of like, oh, see, no one listens to it. And he kind of like...
I don't always
shove
do
it in your
that.
face. He kind of does. He kind of likes to prove his point that, like,
It's not that good because no one likes it.
I mean, if we're just going off of numbers, I have bad news for you, Andrew, about our podcast.
Compared to Joe Rogan, how are we doing compared to Joe Rogan? Just curious.
I mean, we're not better than Joe Rogan. I can say that.
So he's the Claire Obscure of soundtracks of podcasts, and we're the South of Midnight.
Hey, you know what? I'll take South of Midnight.
I will too. Not to Andrew. Andrew compared those
Yeah,
numbers.
really,
He
that's
did
the
that.
worst ever.
I'll never forgive him. Never. But yeah, we can. So you can't even play the soundtrack. We can't even give you samples of it. But I would say
Yeah, which is crazy.
It's
Why is
on
it grayed
YouTube.
out?
It's all on YouTube
it looks like
looking at it
somebody
right here.
privately owns it. It looks like the
by
composer.
Arthur Fanjet.
That would be my guess, as it's just some type of rights issue.
Again, just looking at it here on YouTube. So if you want to go on
No.
YouTube, you can.
I want it on Spotify.
I mean, it is better on Spotify.
It's good. Voice dialogue, rules. I have zero issues on the audio department. Zero.
What about graphics?
A little less.
I think the main graphics of this game, they're not very good, and I think it's part of what would have put me off to this game. But they do really cool visuals. And so I was starting to talk about this a little bit with the communions. At least, again, I don't know if there's any more after the ones that I did, but at least through each of the communions, every single one of them had some sort of different play with the camera. Whether it was one of them was completely in first person, one was a complete 2D, like kind of side scroller. Like it did really fun plays with the camera, and I liked that, and I was kind of looking forward to like what was the next angle it was going to give me, or the way that it did the story, because I liked with the side scroller how it had the dialogue just kind of scrolling along the bottom of the screen as you ran. Like it was a cool visual, and I really liked that. And even in those moments, they actually really kind of spiced up the graphics, and like they became really sharp, I felt like. And so it was like it made you realize how intentional the overall design was, because even it was a little bit jarring the first time you see those like the drawings, because it looks nothing like any of the other graphics you've really seen in the game, and they're like, hey, here's a visual representation of what you just saw. And it's these really childlike drawings, but like detailed childlike drawings, if that makes sense, that don't match the other visuals in the world.
Yeah,
that's my take.
Like graphically, it's very simplistic. Like if there were two things that kind of stick out to me, generally it looks fine. Like I'd say it looks a little bit better than fine for 90% of the game. But if there were two things that I would change, I do wish there were more animations when you're communicating with people. There are some instances where you are literally dialoguing with each other, your mouths are not moving, and one is facing the other direction. And in its most simplistic form, it still works. But again, visually kind of looks silly. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of that. The other thing, if I were to go back and say, I wish this was maybe something, I don't love the design of the main characters. Like, I especially don't like how Fixer looks. If you were to tell me this is a character from Jet Set Radio,
yeah, that's exactly what I thought too.
I can absolutely see that.
I just don't necessarily love that. I like that they were colors.
Yeah.
And I like that kind of distinctly kind of gives you the difference there. I just didn't love the designs of them. The kind of over-the-top kind of gas mask looking things. I just didn't love it. Didn't love it. It's just not my personal thing. Again, maybe that's just because I'm not into anime. Maybe if I was into anime, that would make a little bit more sense to me. Just didn't love that.
For me, it's the lack of detail in the environment. Like even when you kind of walk around the school, like it's so hazy looking. You go out in some areas and it's just really flat kind of looking. I love the style. As kind of Key said, there's a lot of like artistic things they do. Whenever there's blood, there's not a lot of blood in this game, but whenever there's blood, man, they splatter it. It literally like shoots across like a jet stream, and it's like, oh, which is always very like almost jarring, which I think obviously very intentional, because it's just something that happens so quick and it's just like spurt of blood. But I overall though, like the character designs, I kind of like that they're a little over the top of like the gas mask, because as I said, you're all supposed to be looking like the same character. So it actually is kind of showing their personalities a bit too, because when you see other characters that are in the same role, they all don't look the same. It's not like, oh, this is healer, but this is the previous healer, and this is the other healer, and they all look exactly the same. No, they all have their own different kind of flair to them because it's supposed to be kind of representation of their personality. And so I like that. But I don't know. Like, for me, it was just the kind of lack of detail in the environment. But very minor gripe.
Overall, I think we all kind of are on the same page. So I think artistically, what they were trying to represent here, I do think they nailed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of some finer details that I think would have just added an element. And again, even just the dialogue is so good that if you just had some half decent animations there to kind of go along with it, I think it would have worked.
The only pushback I gave a little bit with the animations, because it first annoyed me too, where the characters' mouths weren't moving. But then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? 98% of the time, the characters have a gas mask. So it's like, what are you going to have to do? This mask kind of just shifting up and down? Like,
well,
it's like, that looks stupid and annoying.
They're like clear masks, though.
Yeah, yours is.
Yours is, yeah.
The Watcher's was clear, which I thought was odd that's the only one that has a clear mask. And then none of the shells have masks. So
No, they do.
They have clear
They do,
ones.
and yeah.
So, it's not. But then it's not even that. It's when you're doing communions, you're not dealing with people in masks. So there's like a whole massive section of the game where you're not.
Yes. Yeah, like when you're dealing with your parents. Because I think we said in the story, there is a virus, a airborne virus.
Yeah.
If you don't have a mask, you die.
So all I'm saying is that the dialogue was so good, I think it would just add in another layer because the game is so deep into emotions.
Yeah.
I think that just would have been a nice added element.
Yeah. As far as achievements go, though, overall pretty good. A little bit annoying on some things. So there is a handful of achievements that are different endings. But as I said, the game, it's pretty obvious. This is the end. It's explained to you of like how you want the end to play out. Yeah. So I don't know if it auto saves, but you can easily save your spot right there, so you can reload and kind of play out the different endings, which is great. It's kind of fun to kind of play with that because it's cool. I liked how they did the ending. But just about every chapter, there's an achievement to talk to all the characters, which first was annoying. As Aaron said, you can pull up a compass and see where people are located, but it was really finicky because they all would have a diamond if you have not talked to that person. Sometimes there were some people that always had a diamond on them, and I don't know why. I'm like, oh, maybe I just didn't select all the dialogue options. But I did that. Nope, diamond was still there. So it would make me get a little lost sometimes of like, okay, who have I not talked to? Am I going to do this? So there was like 3 or 4 chapters I kind of gave up on that. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, whatever. I don't get this achievement, which is shocking coming from me.
That is.
I know. Yeah, there's one. Yeah, which it was a big area, and you're going through a lot of different things. It's like, oh, find all the people, and I was like, you know what? No, I want to actually. It's weird. I enjoyed this story so much that I skipped achievements. That's how you know the story was good.
Wow.
Because I was like, I don't care if I hear the one person talk about the smell or something. I don't care. I just want to know what's going on. So yeah, overall for Achievement Hunters, it's not bad. Like I said, it's an 11-hour game. I think even just missing those 3 or 4 chapters, I still got about 800 gamer score. So still overall pretty easy. But yeah, let's get into our final thoughts on 1000xResist. Please, if there's any video game developers out there, can we stop putting X's in the title?
Please.
We keep talking about this with like the ball pit episode because I feel like it's a growing trend of let's just throw X's in the title.
What
Do you
is
pronounce
ball
the
X
X?
pit?
Is it a cross? Is it a times? Yeah, who knows? But anyway, so my final thoughts on 1000xResist. As I said, this was a game for me. I highly recommend if you do like a story game, this is a very good one. Give it time. To me, it was a very slow burn. For Aaron, as Aaron said, it hooked for him pretty quick. But for me, it was by the end of the 3rd chapter where I was kind of like, okay, I'm liking where this is going. And overall, I was surprised too because I was like, is this game going to end and just like only maybe a quarter of things are going to be explained? Like, because you're dealing with aliens and virus, and I'm like, what? Time travel, and I'm like, I got a feeling there's going to be a ton of plot holes. No, overall, I felt like 90% of things were explained. I felt like the things I missed were probably explained. I just kind of missed it. So I'm like, okay, I kind of want to go back and look at some videos and see what I maybe missed for the lore. But overall, though, I got what was going on. I liked these characters. I wanted to keep going. This was a game that really just maybe I just wanted to keep finding out what's going on. Gameplay's a little light puzzles, not very hard. Which also I did see in the options there is a no fail mode. So, but
There's
even
a
the failing
fail
is like,
option?
yeah. I mean, there's like a couple puzzles you can kind of fall, but it just suits you back on a platform. You don't need it.
Oh, I guess.
So what
there's-
does no fail
what is,
do?
What is the
Not-
observer test or whatever?
There
At one
is-
point where you have to respond with the right thing, but
Yeah. Yeah, you got like a little
That's-
test. Well, no, okay, at the very end, very end, there is a timed moment.
okay.
I beat it with like 2 minutes to spare. Like it wasn't very hard. So, like I said, you probably don't need it, but it's there. So overall, yeah, great story, great voice acting. Overall, I'll give it an 85.
So I started out and I was sort of in the middle. I think I am gonna land on the game on this, and because just, as we've talked about it, I really liked the audio. Overall, I really did like the visuals. I know some of it was a little bit weird, but I think it was all intentional, and I think there was reasons behind all of it that I kind of appreciate. Despite thinking that I did get the plot hole version of the story, in at least interpreting it as a different method of giving me the rest of it, and that I just had to replay this, 3 to 5 hours over and over again. I would have done that, and I think it would have been interesting, but it ups it more for me to be like, I realized that I was wrong. I still stand by. I don't think it's a common narrative of a game to just kick you back to the main screen and assume that you just have to continue it to continue the story. That is not a normal gameplay. That said, I'll fall on the sword and say I just got it wrong, and say that it adds to the value of it. And I think it's better that this game just has a longer play out, lets all the story come to you, give you the full picture, because I do want to find the rest of it. It's not a game I'm going to go rushing back to. Maybe not even like a Clair Obscure that I actually will finish. This might be one of those that I tell myself I'm going to finish and I never will. But at least the fact that I have a desire to go back and do it, I'm going to say that it's got to fall on a game for me. But it's going to be on the lower end, and I'm going to give it a 79.
Yeah, shout out to Squidkill for recommending this, because again, this is a game I would never touch, and then it ends up being one of those games that I will secretly just really love. I'm always tough with this because Andrew always says these things like, this is a game not for everybody, and I know that that's probably true with this. But at the same time, when I love something, I feel like I could convince everyone to love it. And so far, again, I have not finished this, but I will finish this. I am hooked. This was just a sneaky good game. It's just really funny as I get older how these types of games are sticking out to me more and more, and not just kind of mindless multiplayer games. So yeah, again, thank you for the recommendation. I'm gonna give this one an 88.
Well, higher than me.
Aaron already started out with the surprise of the year, January 7th.
I think I was so ticked off. I think I was so ticked off by Little Rocket Lab that
You wanted to like it, and you just
that I'm
couldn't.
just so bitter. And so getting something like this where somebody recommended it too, I'm like, oh, here we go again.
Ticked off. I thought at the end you were kind of like slightly surprised that you enjoyed it.
No, it was slightly better version than Tectonica. That was not a good game. But
Am I crazy too? Did you watch the trailer for this game? I kind of thought there was gonna be more action to it than it was. I thought it was gonna lean more into the anime kind of like action gotcha games like you were talking about, and I'm not mad that it didn't either. Like, because honestly, I don't know where the action needed to come in. There's no like enemies I felt I needed to fight that were missing. I don't want to go on a long tangent. I genuinely thought it seemed like something a lot more intense than I ended up playing.
No, I mean, I fully agree. I forgot to bring this up. I'm glad you brought it up, though. But the trailer, like, it's obviously like an accolade trailer saying, oh, all these people that loved it. One of the quotes they put on there was, your favorite game's favorite game. And I saw that. I'm like, what does that mean? Like,
no,
This is Call of Duty's favorite game?
No. I know what that's saying. So there's something very similar in music where they talk about a band's band. So, for instance, that music festival that we go to, Andrew, I went to go see a band, and it didn't have a lot of people there listening to them, but there were a lot of other bands there listening to them. That there's like a band that bands all get. They all understand what they're doing and totally get it, but people don't get it. And I could see that's what they're saying here. Like, your favorite developers, this is the game they love, and they're hooked on.
I thought that was Dispatch, though.
Dispatch is wonderful. I love Dispatch, so don't you dare speak of Dispatch.
Should we do a Dispatch episode, Eric? Because I bought it because you recommended it.
And?
It was good, but I wouldn't put it as my game of the year.
Yeah, see, the thing is, you're just you want to be negative.
No. Well, I will say part of it is some things were spoiled. So when I was playing it, I'm like, I kind of know what's up with this person.
There it is. Favorite game.
Yeah.
So it is very good. Like you said, all dialogue in Dispatch was very good and intentional, and I agree. It was very good. Yeah. Very good story adventure game.
Man, if I had just watched this full trailer, which I definitely did not, that alone would have told me that I didn't see the full game.
Yeah, right?
Actually,
like
I don't
90%
know.
Of that.
No, there's like looking at that trailer.
There's nothing that spoils anything in there, but there's absolutely clips that I did not see through the first 5 chapters. And there's
actually, I don't know, because like looking at it, I'm like, I think this is literally all the first half of the game.
I don't think so.
No, a bunch of that I haven't seen.
Okay.
I don't think so at all.
I'm getting there now. Thanks for
I don't think
it.
none of it. I don't think spoils anything. I'm like I don't recognize any of that from the first 5 chapters.
No, I've lost my desire to play it because Andrew showed that trailer.
Great. There's Andrew spoiling it as always. Way to go, Andrew.
All right, everyone. So overall, check out 1000xResist. Give it some time, especially if you like story. Great recommendation. Thank you so much, Squid Kill. Way to start the year off strong.
Heck yeah.
All right. But anyway, I've been your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. You can find me on Xbox Live at Firebird 0152. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you. One of our top fans joined our Discord, Ren, who gave us a nice, wonderful fan art. So yeah, make sure you join our Discord. Join our art section. See what people create. Legos, some fan art stuff. We just love having people, talking to people. But yeah, you can find the link on go to GamePassGrabBag.com. Top right corner, you'll find the link to our YouTube and our Discord, all of our things. So come on by and say hi. New Year, guys. You guys want to say anything?
Nope.
Okay.
I got nothing to say to you. All right, fine. Happy New Year. Now play the music.
Okay.
This is gonna come out.
Well, Keith. Well, I guess you already gave him a review. I don't know if you want to give Squid Kill another review.
Didn't Kel? He gave us game in the last 2 months, I think. He knows he's great.
He doesn't give us too many game recommendations, so that's why I was
It's
like,
true.
oh, we gotta check this out.
But either way, he knows he's great.
All right, everyone. Love you all. See you again next week.
Goodbye.